Let's do it, y'all. Butler, we are here on this Thursday, May 7th, 2026. Good afternoon to you guys. We are in the There we go. We are in New York City right now, fresh off of a Game 2 victory for the New York Knicks last night at home against the Sixers. We just got an OG Anunoby update, and I have like mixed feelings on it. So let's just pull it up. And I'm sure you guys have seen it, but just want to go to Asham Sharania on Twitter, who had this announcement not too long ago. And if you're a Knicks fan, the feeling last night was can't go to sleep until I get an OG Anunoby update. And I was on the radio on ESPN New York, just praying for some type of news, just that we can share with our audience. But then quickly we learned that was not going to happen. Mike Brown, after the game, said he did not have anything to say this morning. Silence. The Knicks technically did not have to give an injury designation until 5 o'clock today. But Shams hit us with this about a half hour ago that OG Anunoby has been diagnosed with a right hamstring strain and will be day to day. And so my reaction to that is twofold. One, I want to reiterate something that I said last night. This was like, you cannot understate how huge of a win this was for the Knicks. Because just imagine, as we're watching OG Anunoby limp off the court and not return, waiting for his injury news, you're sitting 1-1 with the Sixers, who just came into your building and stole home court advantage. And now they're going back home. And I get the Knicks fans will travel, but they'll play better at home. Hard to play better than they did in the first half yesterday, but you get my point. And Embiid kind of lingering there as his potential to return increases, and it becomes a best of 5 series. And you are without a guy who last night I said he's been your second best player, but I guess you can argue he's been your best player. He's not your number one option, obviously. He's not your number two option. But what he is so far is a guy that during the playoffs is averaging 21 a game on 62% shooting from the field, 54% from three, which is just like unheard of, bro. Like, his efficiency is to the point where, and I said this last night, whenever he takes the shot, you are surprised it doesn't go in. It's similar to Brunson in crunch time. He shoots the ball, you're thinking, there's no way it doesn't go in. That's what OG's become so far through 8 games of the playoffs. And that is in addition to lockdown defender, guarding the other team's best player. So him being someone who is getting it done on both ends makes his case as to, I've been the best player so far through 8 games. And if you are preparing to lose that guy for any portion of time, it would have just been devastating had you lost that game yesterday, which is why the victory is just so massive. You're up 2-0 now, and it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. It gives you some margin of error. Like, no one's going to be panicked. And I would be surprised if he played tomorrow night. I know they're listing him as day to day, but until the Sixers show you they can win a game, I don't think there is any shot OG should be playing. Now, Ian Beckley on his show, The Putback, just now talked about the optimism, and I want to pull up the tweet here. The optimism emanating from the Knicks locker room that OG will be able to play in Game 3 or Game 4 in Philadelphia. So Game 3 tomorrow night in Philly, Game 4 Sunday afternoon. Which, side note, come on, y'all, we got to do this on Mother's Day, smacked in the middle of the afternoon. We couldn't get like a 7, 8 o'clock start. We got to do this at 3:30 on Mother's Day. I've got the resi for the family at 2 o'clock. at a spot in Williamsburg. And like, what's the likelihood the day is over at 3:30? 0% chance. So I guess the best case scenario for me would be Knicks win Friday night, and then Sunday afternoon becomes like a nothing burger, where like you still watch the game as much as you possibly could, and I'll be able to catch like the entirety of the second half. I'll follow it on my phone, but it's not like a huge game. 2-1 going into game four. Yikes. So there's optimism, according to Ian Begley, that the Knicks will see OG in game three or game four in Philadelphia. Here's my thing though, because I said I had two takeaways from this. And shout out to you, Spike. I appreciate you cutting edge hoops and other sports opinions, my guy TB. He's been the best two-way player in the Eastern Division of the playoffs so far. I'm just like going through it in my head. I guess sure, like Evan Mobley hasn't done anything, hasn't done enough offensively. Uh Cade's been spectacular, but Arthur Thompson is their best perimeter defender. You're right, man. So just looking at like the landscape of the conference, he has been their best two-way player. Um, yeah, can't really argue with that there. Here's why I'm very skeptical. BX Mills, what's up? Shout out to you. Here's why I'm very, very skeptical. So OG Anunoby, who we know, and this entered the mind of Knicks fans as they were experiencing PTSD last night, thinking back to a couple years ago where he hurt his hamstring against the Pacers. He has a history of those lower extremity injuries, the groin, the hamstring, and all of that. This is a guy who, and people laugh at me now because I said it's one of the worst contracts in the NBA, not because I doubt the player. I certainly didn't think he'd be this good, but because I don't trust you can get through an entire season with him not missing significant time. And if you're paying him $220 million, he's a role player, right? Like he's not what Cat or Brunson are giving you. Again, up until these playoffs, like no one was expecting him to be this good. He's a role player making a ton of money who is always hurt. So that's why I said it's the worst contract in the NBA. And Knicks fans, whatever, y'all want to disagree with me, that's fine. But he has his history of injuries, and he's playing 35 minutes a game of playoff intensity basketball where he's chasing the opposing team's best player up and down the court through screens. And the Knicks ideally will have 5 to 6 more weeks of games left to play. And so when you tell me that this dude is day to day, I'm skeptical about that. I'm skeptical that that is the actual timeline. And that's not saying, you know, we won't see him this weekend. But I don't come away reading this report where I see that anyone, let alone a dude who's got a rich injury history, has and they didn't even give it a grade. They just said a right hamstring strain, which you just do a quick lookup, could range anywhere from a few days to a week on the lower end. And I'm just like, all right, cool. Best case scenario, that is what we're looking at. A few days to a week. And the Knicks can make things a whole lot easier if they just take care of business this weekend. Because I wouldn't play him in game 3. Even if they lose game 3, I wouldn't play him in game 4. And if we are, game 5 is Tuesday, right? So game 5 would be Tuesday, May 12th. If worst case we're 2-2 going into that May 12th game, then I would be inclined to bring him back, because now you're staring at being, you lose 3 straight games and you've completely lost control of the series. That would be the earliest I would bring back OG Anunoby. But the Knicks can take care of business this weekend. You root like hell for Detroit and Cleveland to go the distance. And then when the Eastern Conference Finals tips off, either the 17th or the 19th of May, we're now, 2 weeks removed from the injury? And even still, it's like, I don't feel great about that. I don't come away from this news thinking that this is, we're out of the woods. We avoided the worst of it. Now, maybe you did avoid the worst of it because I'm watching it with my Lakers and Luka Doncic having the grade 2 hamstring injury that has kept him out, and it doesn't look like he's playing in the series. So his season is over. But I'm just, if I'm a Knicks fan, breathe a sigh of relief because you don't get the Luka Doncic injury update where he's out for 2 months and his season's over. But what I will say is, even though it's not the worst case scenario, I am still not someone who's like, all right, we're back, baby. We're all good. And if I'm the Sixers, I am waking up feeling worse today about what happened in that fourth quarter last night where they scored 12 points because you had a chance to really grab some momentum in this series, which is rare if it's tied. Momentum in a tied series, how does that make sense? Well, because when the Knicks' best player so far in the playoffs now has a right hamstring strain, and you went into their building and won, and Maxey was awesome, and now you're coming home, you got to be feeling great. But the flip side to that is because you lost in the fashion and the manner that you did, where you could not have played a better first half. I mean, Maxey had it going, the free throw disparity, they hit a million threes. Cat was in foul trouble, and you found a way to only be up one at halftime, which is why I told everyone I was standing next to in the ESPN New York suite, John Winthrop, Alan Hahn, all the folks in there. I said it to Jake Asman. This is perfect for the Knicks. You could not have played a better first half than you did if you're the Sixers, and you're only up one. I apologize. My kids are in the background. They just got home from school. So if you hear them, they're doing their normal fight before we become best friends again. But anyway, that was a catastrophe. You had it. That's the game you got to get. Catch the Knicks sleeping because Embiid's out. They take you a little lightly. They had won 4 straight games. So maybe they're feeling themselves a little overconfident. You come out, you hit a bunch of threes. That's the formula. And everything was going to plan except for the scoreboard, where you could never gain any separation. So I tweeted last night the series is over. I picked the Knicks to win in 6. But sometimes the losses can like shape the rest of the series. Like if the Sixers were down 2-0, game 1, I knew they were losing anyway. They were down 2-0, and it's like it was apparent the Knicks were just, better through 2 games, but the Sixers had shown some life. That's different than they had that game, should have been more in control, and they still lost it. And so I just wanted to come on here and talk to you guys real quick about the Maxey, the OG Anunoby injury update again. I don't think the Knicks are out of the woods. I'm obviously not a doctor, but I just find it hard to believe that a dude who's had this rich of an injury history, who's playing 35 minutes a night, chasing around the opposing team's best guy, is all of a sudden going to be 100% over the course of the next 5 to 6 weeks of playoff intensity basketball. I find that hard to believe. Maybe I'm proven wrong, but we shall see. I appreciate you. There has not been the nomenclature of the injury has not been stated. So grade 1 strain, the grade has not been indicated. BX Mill, shout out to you. I think the Knicks are keeping the level of strain tight to the best. They don't want to disclose too much information, and I would tend to agree with that. But we'll see. I appreciate y'all. Ty D Butler, that's where you can find me on YouTube, on Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Ty D Butler. Hit me. We're on Instagram as well. I'm on after the game, after the home games. I'm on the radio, ESPN New York, so you can check out the show. You can check out the podcast. I post my clips, and so we'll be back on here Tomorrow night I'll be on SNY after the Knicks game. So tune into the TV show Sports Night. I'll be recapping the Knicks game. So once again, appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Holla at your boy.